How many of you would like to make a lot of money? And how many of you would like to make a lot of money very quickly? You've come to the right place. My name is T. Harbecker, and welcome to Speed Wealth, how to make $1 million in your own business in 3 years or less. Anybody interested? All right. First thing I want to do is I want to acknowledge you for being here. There's a saying that says 80% of success is just what? Showing up. So since I can't reach well, we have a little ritual here, and all I need you to do is reach around, tap both your neighbors on the back, and go, congratulations for being here. I want to thank you for your time, and I want to thank you for your trust. You know, speaking of trust, it reminds me of a story of this guy who's walking along the edge of a cliff, and all of a sudden he slips and he falls off. But he has the presence of mind to turn around and grab onto the ledge. And he's holding on to the ledge and holding on, and he doesn't know what to do. And he's holding on, and finally he yells up and goes, "Is there anybody up there that can help me?" There's no one. "Is there anybody up there that can help me?" And all of a sudden this big bellowing voice calls out and goes, "This is God. I can help you. Just let go and trust." And all of a sudden you hear, "Is there anybody else up there that can help me?" Anytime I do any seminars, I have 2 rules. How many rules? 2. First rule is this: don't believe a word I say. Now, why might I suggest that? That's right. Whose experience can I come from? Just my experience. It does not make it true. It doesn't make it false. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it my experience. But all I can let you know is that the principles you're going to hear tonight transformed my life and have now transformed the lives of thousands and thousands of other people. And if you learn them and you what? Use them, apply them, I believe they can transform your life too. So all I can ask of you is, would you be willing to be open for this evening and try the material out in whose life? In your life. Whatever works for you, keep on what? Doing. Whatever doesn't work, you're welcome to what? Throw it out. How many of you are willing to be open for tonight? Anybody not? We'll see. Thank you. As for rule number 2, how many of you would like to get the most out of this evening? Yeah. Good. How many like to learn faster tonight? Yeah. How many like to remember more of what you learn? Yeah. Research shows the key to that is what? Who can tell me? Repetition, listening? Participation. Thank you. Involvement, absolutely. How many know us ask a lot of questions? You haven't noticed? What do questions do? Yes, questions hook the mind. What do? Raise your hand if you're in business whatsoever. Raise your hand if you have customers or you'd like to have customers. Raise your hand if you'd like your customers to listen to you for once in a while. From here on in, you're going to ask them a what? Question. Very good. Also, sometimes you notice I leave the last word off the end of my sentence, and your mind just fills in the... You guys are good. And then often I'll ask you to repeat things. To what? Now, why on earth would I ask you to repeat things? Yes, right, for involvement, for sure. But isn't it true that if I say something, it means one thing? But if you say it, it means what? Everything. Yes? So how many of you willing to participate 100% tonight? Anybody not? We'll find out. So since we're going to spend the next little while together, is it okay if I tell you just a little bit about myself? Yes? I guess I'm one of those people that try just about everything and anything to make it. Anybody else know what I'm talking about here? Had over a dozen different small businesses. I was in the perfume business. I was in the jewelry business. I was in the t-shirt business. I was in the novelty business. I was in the coupon business. I was in the dating business. I didn't get any dates, so I got out of the dating business. And I have to admit that the early ones were complete what? Disasters. I mean, real disasters. It was almost like the Loch Ness Monster type of syndrome. You know, I had heard of this thing called profit, but I never saw any of it, right? But then one night I got really lucky. I actually came home, and my father was actually having dinner with one of the richest gentlemen in the entire city. And I knew this man. I knew that he was a friend of his, but I'd never seen him at our house. And I had moved back to my parents' house because I was broke as usual, right? You know, you do the business, you move out, and then you go broke and you go back to your parents' house. That happened until I was 61. So anyways, for too long. So I was back with my folks again, living downstairs. And this gentleman was there, and I knew he was, and he owned half the city. I'm telling you, this guy was, if he wasn't a billionaire, he was darn close. But he wasn't just rich, he was a fabulous man. He was very spiritual. He had a heart of gold. He had a beautiful family. He was very family-oriented. So he was just one of these guys that you just wanted to emulate. He just had it all together. You know what I'm saying? One of these very special people. And I guess my father had been crying the blues to him about my situation, as usual. And he took me to a side and he said, "Would you like a word of advice?" Well, you know, I said, "Sure, you know." And he said, "Harv, if you're not doing as well as you'd like to be doing, all that means is there's something you still don't know." Well, being a brash young man at the time, I thought, what? I knew what? Everything. But my bank account did not reflect that. And so I listened for a change, and on his advice, I basically devoted myself to studying the strategies of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, especially those who made it big and made it very what? Very fast. Very what? Because that's how what? That's how I wanted to do it. You know, I was just never one of these guys that could take 40 years in a business to try and make it. You know what I'm saying? I was always thinking, how can I make it quickly? Does that make sense to you? Yes or no? Anybody know what I'm talking about here? So, you know, that's what resonated with me. And in doing so, to my shock, I found that virtually how many? Virtually all of these people use the same 7 steps. How many? 7 steps to create their fortune and their freedom. And I developed these steps into a little package, a little system, so I could use it, and I called it Speed Wealth, and I put it to the test. And I went out there and I borrowed $2,000 on my Visa card, and I opened one of the first retail fitness stores in all of North America, and the results using the Speed Wealth system were absolutely mind-blowing. With this system, I was able to open 10 stores in only 2.5 years, and then I sold half my company shares to the H.J. Heinz Corporation, the ketchup people, for $1.6 million. How many wouldn't mind starting with a $2,000 credit card loan and having $1.6 million in cash in your pocket a couple of years later for half your company, right? So after that, I began doing this again and again, and then I moved down to sunny San Diego, did a little bit of retirement over there, worked on my golf game. You'd never know it, so I gave up golf too. And I started getting a lot of people asking me basically, you know, how I'd done this and how I keep doing these things and what these steps were. And so I started teaching strategies all across North America for high-speed success through a company that I founded called the Street Smart Business School. It went very, very well. And actually, I came up here to Vancouver, to Western Canada, and started doing Toronto also about 4 years ago, and under the name in Canada of Peak Potentials. So all I can say is that the Speed Wealth system created a money miracle. A money what? Miracle. In my life, has now done that for thousands of people. And if you learn it, and again what? Use it and learn it, it can do the same for you. So let's talk a little bit about the Speed Wealth system. Who is the Speed Wealth system for? Me. Yes, it's for ME, right. It's for people, first of all, who own their own business on a full-time basis. Raise your hand if you're one of those people. Good. It's for people who own their own business on a part-time basis. Raise your hand if you're one of those people. Good. It's for people who someday would like to own their own business. Raise your hand if you're one of those people. It's for people who don't care how they do it as long as they make $1 million very quickly. And it's for people who really love their job right now and they don't really want to leave it, but they want to have a security of knowing that they could make it. What's the word? Make it. They could make it, have it in their back pocket, should they ever decide to leave their job or it decides to leave them. Raise your hand if you're in that category. Okay, good. What kind of businesses are available? What kind of businesses work with the Speed Wealth system? Yeah, the Speed Wealth system is, Speed Wealth principles are generalized principles. What are they? Generalized principles. So what that means is they work in what kind of businesses? All kinds of business. They work in retail business. They work in wholesale. They work in products. They work in services. They work in business to business. They work in home-based businesses. They work in network marketing type businesses. They work in high-tech, low-tech, any kind of business that you love. Got it? Yes? Yeah. All right, so how many of you are ready to learn the Speed Wealth system? Yeah. Give somebody a high five beside you and say, I'm ready to go. Before we start on this, I want you to recognize something. I want to make sure you're clear on something. Did I make up the Speed Wealth steps? No, I did not. What did I do? I simply what? Recognize what they were doing. And I'm hoping that you recognize, and you will hopefully, unless you've been under a rock somewhere, recognize every one of these steps. The only distinction here is what we've done is we've been able to put them into a package, put them in order in what? And that is critical because I blew off one business. I had it all right except for the order was wrong, right? And all of a sudden I was pretty well almost bankrupt again. Put them in order for you, and so now they become a little bit of a what? A checklist. A what? So you can determine where you are in this range and where your next steps are. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Yeah. All right, you ready to go? Yeah. All right, you sound guys good. Speed Wealth principle number 1. Very simply this. You have to believe that creating wealth quickly is what? One more time, twice as loud. Feasible. You have to believe that it's feasible. See, in my experience, especially when I'm on the radio and whatnot, when I talk about speed wealth, they always want to nail me on the get rich quick thing. Yes or no, right? It's very obvious. Why is that? Because, but I believe that getting rich quickly has gotten a really bad rap, right? In the past, in the past, society has labeled people who would rather make their money faster than slower as what? Crooks, greedy, schemers, scammers. Nothing good, right? But actually, the truth is several thousand people, including myself, have made their money very quickly and fully legitimately. And not only is there nothing wrong with it, I actually believe this is the wave of the future. The wave of what? Look at a guy like, for example, Jeff Bezos. Here's a name you might know. He started a company called what? Amazon.com. Here's a guy who comes from a net worth of about $40,000, and in just under 3 years, he's got a net worth of over $7 billion. Okay, the guy is not a crook. The guy is not a scammer. He's not a schemer. He just made his money quickly and legitimately. Does that make sense? And a lot of it to boot. You say, oh, well, that's high tech. Everything in high tech went through the roof. No. There's a fellow by the name of, you want to recognize, John Schnatter. John Schnatter, I mean, who does he? This guy opens up a frickin' pizza parlor, right? Papa John's Pizza. Have you heard of it at all? Papa John's Pizza. And in short order, again, using the speed wealth system, he goes very quickly right to a net worth of over $400 million with pizza parlors. You could do this with hot dogs. You could do this with hair pieces. It doesn't matter. Well, okay, I didn't mean to insult you, sir. It's okay. It was just like so glaring. I was like, it just came out, right? The fact is, more and more fortunes are being made with lightning speed, and for very, very good reason. How many people agree that the world is changing quickly? Yeah. Technology is changing quickly, yes? Yes. Markets are changing quickly, yes? Yes. People's interests are changing quickly, yes? Yes. Yes. And therefore, you have to realize that every time, what time? Every time there is a change. What's the key word? Change. A change in technology, in styles, in the law, in markets, in the latest business buzzword. Somebody gets rich. Why is that? Because change brings what? Opportunity. How many people buy into that? Change brings opportunity. And therefore, quick change brings what? Quick opportunity. And quick opportunity allows you to create what? Quick wealth. Does that make any sense to anybody here? Yes or no? That's what we were looking for. Quick change here. Now, I not only believe that speed wealth is feasible, I believe it's actually necessary today. That if you make it quickly, or you probably might make it at all. Why do I say that? There's something that maybe some of you learned in your MBAs or wherever you took your trainings for business or whatnot, called a product or business cycle. Product or business what? And it looks kind of like this. There's a startup phase, a growth phase, maturation, saturation, decline. So startup, then what is it? Growth, maturation, saturation, decline. Now, this whole cycle in the old days used to take how many years, would you say? Yes, 20 to 30 years was how long you could expect a niche to last for and be useful in the marketplace. Does that make sense? How long is that today? Where you have your own niche that you can basically, this is my niche, this is what I do, nobody else basically does this. Yeah, 6 months if you're lucky. And I would agree. Anywhere from 6 months to maybe 3 to 4 years if you're lucky. A good example would be a software company. Here you are, you create a software program. It's a very good idea. It goes out into the market. How long is it until somebody recognizes that, puts either more money into it or does it a little differently or has a little niche to it and comes out with something very similar in a bigger way even? How long is it? Months if you're lucky, days if you're not, right? And people are just waiting for you to come out with things so they can latch on to it and do it themselves, yes or no? Now, isn't it true that software companies, by the way, they have the revised version, the updated version, ready before the first one even hits the market? So they can knock themselves off, right? Now, in the publishing industry, are things moving quickly? I'm in the publishing business, so I can tell you in the old days, it takes like, 1 year to 5 years to write a book sometimes, yes? It can take quite a bit of time. And then after all that time, all that effort, all that marketing, all that shit, you go out there and they get it into the bookstore finally. How long will that bookstore keep that book on the bookshelf if it's not a bestseller? 30 days. 30 days is what that book will last on the bookshelf. And then they take all of your books and send them back to the distributor and say, we're not carrying this anymore. Space is too valuable. The books change too quickly. Does that make sense? Right, it's got to be very fast. So you understand that. Why is this? This is because of two reasons. Number one, communication has developed in such a way where people are communicating around the world in a heartbeat. Yes or no? Yes. And then coupled with the fact that so many people want to get in their own business today because they need to, basically, yes or no? That you take those two together and all of a sudden you can't come up with an idea anymore, put it out into the market, have it working, and nobody knows about it. Everybody knows about it quickly, yes or no? Yes. And once they know about it, boom, they're into it too, yes or yes? Yes. So my philosophy is this. You want to get in, and then you want to get what? Out. And then you want to get in again to something else, then you want to get out. Because if you say, well, I think I'll take 7 or 8 years to develop this thing. But whatever you've got, if it's 10 or 12 years, it's probably a dinosaur already. Nobody even uses the darn thing anymore. Does that make sense? So it's a high-speed type of mentality now. So all I'm saying is this, that things have changed, and we need to revise, what's the word? Revise. What we deem is a normal time frame to success. The other question you want to ask is speed wealth not only feasible, but is it feasible for you? Feasible for who? You. Feasible for yourself, right. Now, I cannot answer that question, can I? You can answer that question, but I can't. But I will say this. It's feasible if you are willing to do this. Willing to learn. What's the word? Learn. Learning is critical. Learning changed my life. I didn't know that it was, but it did. So there's a saying that I use, and I've been quoted many times, and it says this. It says, every master was once a disaster. Say that together with me. Let me hear you. Every master was once a disaster. I mean, think about it. Everybody who's great at something now was once terrible at it. The first few times they were lousy at it, but they didn't stop. They developed, they got better. Yes or no? Yeah. Everybody. So there's hope for all of us. Yes or no? Yeah. I'll tell you what, from where I came from, if there is hope for me, there's hope for everybody. Simple. Now, the other thing that you want to recognize is if you're willing to master the business skills, if you're willing to master finance, money skills, and if you're willing to master yourself, grow yourself, there's nothing that can stop you. That's all that I can say to you. All right, let's do a declaration together. If you want to put your hand on your chest, that's good. If you want to put your hand on someone prettier's chest, that's better. Here's the declaration. Creating wealth quickly is feasible. Let me hear you.
Creating wealth quickly is feasible.
Creating wealth quickly is feasible for me. Turn around, give somebody a high five and say, you're awesome. Speed wealth principle number 2. What is it, please? Deliver massive value. One more time, 3 times as loud. Let me hear you. Deliver massive value. Did you know that there's actually a specific formula out there that determines how much money you earn to the penny? Would you like to know it? All right, maybe next course. But what we'll do is, it's called the law of income. The law of what? Income. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to state the law of income. If you have a pen or paper, you might want to write this down, by the way. And I'm going to state it, but I'm going to leave a few blanks. Don't shout out the blanks yet. We'll shout them out together after. So the law of income states that I will be paid. You want to write this down. I will be paid in direct proportion to the blank, I blank, according to the blank. I will be paid in direct proportion to the blank, I blank, according to the blank. All right, first blank is, what is it? The value, the value. I will be paid in direct proportion to the value I deliver. Thank you, deliver. According to the marketplace. Very good. One more time. I will be paid in direct proportion to the value I deliver according to the marketplace. I don't mean to be critical here at all, but I will say this, that the number one reason most people are broke or close to it is they don't deliver a lot of value in the eyes of the marketplace and the way that they do it. The law is simple but very strict. If you don't deliver a lot, you don't get what? Paid a lot. Now, is value important? Yes or yes? Therefore, we have to know what is it that actually determines our value in the eyes of the marketplace. Would that be a good thing to know? Hello? Yes. Let's talk about that. The first thing that determines this word right here is this. What's the word, please? Demand. Who can tell me what demand is? How much do people want your product or service? Is that important, yes or no? And how much are they willing to pay for it? Absolutely. The second one is, what's the second one? Supply. Tell me what that one is. How much of your product or service is already out there in the marketplace? A good example is I had a chiropractor come to one of these programs in here in Speedwell Master Camp, actually, a 3-day boot camp in San Diego. And he came because about 6 years ago when he first opened up in Lemon Grove, a little town near southern part of San Diego, he was making about $150,000 a year. Now he's making about $50,000 a year. He's going, what the heck's going on? So he's in this, he goes, oh my God. I said, what's going on? He says, well, I didn't realize that 7 more chiropractors have opened up in the little town. At first, I was the only one. Does that make a difference, yes or yes? I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people here tonight, but if there were 16 people teaching Speedwell 16 nights in a row in different places, there wouldn't be that many, yes or no? So does that make a difference? Hello? Absolutely. That's why your USP, your unique proposition, how you do your business is critical. The style that you do it in. All right, the next one is really important, and the next one is this one. What's the word, please? Quality. One more time? Quality. Quality. Is that important? What does that mean? The quality of what? Yes, how good is your product or service? Is that yes? Is that important? Yes? Also, and here's the biggie, when it comes to quality is, how good are you at your business? That's critical. You know, it's so funny when we talk a lot about athletes, right? It's very obvious that generally the best athletes in every sport get paid the, yes or yes? The best tennis players make the most money. The best golfers make the most money. The best basketball players make the most money. The best, they make the most, yes or no? Right. But when it comes to us as business owners, that whole rule goes out the window. It's like, whoa, what's, who cares how good I am at this? It's not even a factor. You know what? I have a little bit of a secret for you. It's a factor, and it's a big frickin' factor, right? These guys practice their craft before they go into their arena daily for hours and hours before they go in. I was in Hawaii recently. I saw the Mercedes golf tournament. I saw Tiger Woods and Mike Weir and all these guys. I was within 10 feet of these guys. And you know what was befuddling to me? Is that as we were leaving, we went on this little shuttle to the car, and then there's this practice range and they were all, every one of them, after I finished around, were all hitting balls and putting. Every one of them after they hit before the game, they hit the game, and they hit after the game. Because they practice to hone their skills, to be the best at what they do. Now, how about you? How good are you at what you do? How good are you at your business in totality? In totality. Would you like to know a really strong indicator of how good you are at your business in totality? Here, it's really simple. Look at your paycheck. Look at your paycheck. That'll tell you everything. See, the paycheck doesn't lie. The paycheck doesn't have a mind to justify things and blame everybody else. Look at your paycheck. That'll tell you what you need to know. Good indication as to how you are in all the aspects of your business. I had a gentleman who got upset when I said that. He says, I am a wonderful artist. And I said, great, you must suck at business. He got upset because he wasn't making any money, right? You understand what I'm saying, right? Good, you're a wonderful artist. That's one part of the business. What about the rest of it? Does being an artist still have to do some marketing, yes or no? Or do they have to have marketing and promotion done, yes or no? Of course. That's part of the business. Where are you there? Absolutely. So that I know it got a little quiet in here after that. But you know what? Every master was once a... Very good. All right. Let's talk about the last one here. The last one is called... What's the word, please? Quantity. One more time, twice as loud. Quantity. Quantity. Thank you. What does quantity mean? How much of your product or service are you actually delivering? What's the key word? Delivering. Notice I didn't say produce. In fact, in the old economics books, and I wouldn't doubt if they're still there, the law of income is there, and it says you'll be paid in direct proportion to the value you produce. You know what? That is absolute BS. You don't get paid for what you produce, do you? Now, how many of you have produced things and never got paid for them? How many of things that are produced sitting in your basement or your garage right now and not getting paid for it? You don't get paid for what you produce. You get paid for what you deliver. In the delivery is the transfer of the goods to the money. That's the rubber meets the road, yes or no? You got to deliver it to get paid, and if you want to get wealthy, you got to get paid. Simple as that. So let me ask you this. Which of the four factors here do you think is the biggest problem for most business owners? How many people say the biggest problem for most is the demand factor? They're not in the right situation. How many know the biggest problem is supply? Too much competition. The biggest problem is quality. How many know the biggest quantity is quantity? All right. In my experience, the number one challenge for most people who are in the small business arena, and a small business I choose, say, anything under, let's say, 10 million. That's a small business. Number 4, quantity. Quantity is the biggest challenge. You see, a lot of people have an excellent product or service, and they may even be delivering it to the marketplace, but not in enough what? Quantity to create wealth. So, if you want to get paid, you must deliver your value to people. But if you want to get rich, you have to deliver your value to what? A lot of people. That's the difference. And that's why, regardless of the business, if at all possible, I would highly recommend that what's the word? Possibly part of your revenue come from product sales. Now, why would I say that? Product sales versus strictly personal services where you have to be there to get paid. Why is that? Because products give you the opportunity to deliver large what? Quantities of your value without what? Without limitations. Thank you. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say, for example, that you're in the pen business. The what business? The pen business. And Marriott Hotels calls you up and says, we need 50,000 pens for our new hotels coming up. What do? Well, you go and you pick up the phone and you call up your supplier and you say, I need 50,000 pens. And they send you 50,000 and you ship it off, or they ship it directly to Marriott. Is there a problem, yes or no? All right, Weston calls up the next week and says, we need 500,000 pens. What do? Same darn thing. You pick up the phone, call the supplier. That supplier doesn't have enough. You call up three or four more suppliers. You get them all together. You ship them off to Weston. You make your money. Yes or no? Yeah. All right, so that's basically how it is. So all of a sudden here, let's say now you're a massage therapist. and you got 50,000 people waiting and lined up outside your door. What do? You shoot yourself. What can you do? You're stuck. You're finished. Well, you still have the next. What are you going to do? Wealth rule number 1. Number what? Never have a ceiling on your income. Wealthy people do not have ceilings on their income. If you are therefore in a job or a personal service business where you have to be there in order to get paid, you have a ceiling on your income, and it's good that you're aware of that. You could be the best masseuse in the world, but there's only so many massages you can do in a day. The same limits are on counselors or consultants or professionals or anybody else working by the hour or by fixed salary. Do you understand? Yes or yes? If you are currently serving, then, we'll talk about quantity here, 10 people a day, you have to create a strategy to serve 100 people a day. If you're serving 100 people a day, you have to have a strategy to serve 1,000 people a day. How many people think there's a big difference in income between serving 10 people a day and 1,000 people a day? That's the difference between making a living and becoming rich. Do you understand? Yes or yes? Yes. Those are the critical things you have to get. So, I deliver massive value to thousands and thousands of people. Let me hear you. Gives me a high five and say, you are amazing. Speed Wealth principle number 3. Number 3 is what? What's the first word? Timing. Timing. Choosing the right business or the right niche at the right time. How many of you have ever heard the saying, timing is everything? How many people believe that saying? Look, trust me, I believe that saying. Big time. Big time, I believe that saying. Business opportunities are like cars. There's race cars, there's jalopies, and there's everything in between. The key question you have to ask yourself is, what are you trying to win the race with? What are you trying to create wealth with? A race car or a jalopy? Is it going to make a difference, yes or no? Yes. So the idea here is you want to get in as much as possible on trend. On what? Trend. Who can tell me what a trend is? Current, yes, yes. A trend is simply a field or an arena that is in a phase of long-term high demand. What kind of term? What if it's in short-term high demand? What's that one called? That's called a fad. My recommendation, don't go there unless you've got billions and billions of dollars. Every fad except for the pet rock, basically everyone who's done those fads has billions of dollars to promote the hell out of them very quickly. Do you understand what I'm saying? And again, you could get into a fad and you'll kind of just put it out there a little bit and then some big conglomerate will take a look. Well, that's a good idea. People are trying to buy that. Let's just get in that business. Right? So you got to watch for that. But you want to get on trends. You want to get on things that are going upscale versus down. So what are some of the trends that are going today? Well, let's take a look at high technology. Is high tech a trend today, yes or no? Yeah, high technology is a trend. Telecommunications, is that a trend? Absolutely, sure. Computers, is that a trend? The internet, is that a trend? Yeah, anything to do with electronics, communication, all of those are on trend. Let's take a look at the understanding, though, that not everything is high tech that's on trend. In fact, John Nesbitt, who's heard of John Nesbitt? He's a very wise trend soothsayer. And basically what he says is that, you see, the understanding is that we have a mind and we have a heart. We live in a world of duality. You have to have both sides of everything. Does that make sense? So the greater demand for high tech, the greater demand for high what? High touch. So that's why there's enormous interest in things like nature and gardening and adventure and relationships and personal growth and spirituality. Yes or yes? Enormous interest in these areas. Talk about spirituality and those type of areas. How many people have heard of Chicken Soup for the Soul? You know, it's the book, obviously, by two of my closest friends, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen. This book, in case you haven't heard of it, it started with one volume. It's basically stories to warm the heart is what they talk about. Started with one volume. Now there's over 30 volumes. I spoke to Jack a couple of weeks ago. He says there's going to be 75 volumes. there's a new volume coming out pretty well every couple of weeks. There's a whole industry called Chicken Soup for the Soul. There's Chicken Soup for the woman's soul, and Chicken Soup for the teenage soul, and Chicken Soup for the pet lover's soul, and Chicken Soup for the Canadian soul, and Chicken Soup for the grandmother's soul, and Chicken Soup for the fisherman's soul. I wouldn't eat chicken soup with fish, but I'll tell you. There's a new one that's come out by a completely different author now, and it's just the opposite. It's all about meanness and robbery and blackmail. It's called Sick of Soup. Anyways. Sales are good today. Another area that's booming is the health and wellness and appearance industry. Yes or yes? Why is that? Because who's buying up all this stuff? What are they called? Baby boomers. When were baby boomers born? Between the years of what? 1945 to 1964. Thank you. Approximately there. What's the age group they're moving through now? Middle age, right? And they're going through kicking and screaming. They don't want to be old because they got a certain lifestyle. And it's not the baby boomers today don't want to live in old age homes and not have lifestyle is everything for these people, including myself. Yes or yes? So those things that's a scorching hot industry, absolutely. Another huge area is the area of entrepreneurship, business ownership. People are realizing today more and more and more that not only can a job generally not make you rich, but it lost its most appealing essence, which was security. I believe, and I've always believed, that you're more secure in your own business than you are in a frickin' job. At least you got a choices there. Someone else just comes in and says, this is called a pink slip. You go, why? Well, we're downsizing. That's all there is to it. So, I don't mean to say anything, but I'm here to kick some butt if I can. And one good thing about a job is it's the most perfectly spelled word in the dictionary, because it stands for what? Just over broke. And why is that? Because that's the way they keep you coming back tomorrow. Do you understand? It's just quite thought out. It's very, very intelligent, at least on their part. So here's my thoughts. If you're in a job, you have got to be performance-based. You've got to be performance-based. You've got to be able to get into a position whereby you can get paid based on your results. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Then there's no problem with the job because it's really your own business, isn't it? Yes? Okay, so that's very, very important. So the timing couldn't be better to A, be in your own business, but B, listen to this one, be in the business of providing business opportunities to other people. That is a huge business, all right? And always, if you present it properly, it's very hard to turn that down, but most people don't present it properly. I do a lot of talks for certain companies, and it's actually easy to do it once you know what you're doing. Here's a declaration. It says this: I only get involved in high demand, on trend opportunities. Let me hear you. Give somebody a high five and say, you're incredible. All right. Now it's time to lay down the gauntlet. Enough pussyfooting around. Speed Wealth Principle number 4. This is the toughie for where most people lose it right here. What's the word, please? One more time, twice as loud. What is it? Systemize, systemize, systemize. Systemizing your business. What is the definition of a business system? Who can tell me? Duplicatable is good, yes? Yes, good. Good. The definition of a business system is simply this. A business system is simply a repeatable process that produces a profit. What is it? A repeatable process that produces a profit. Any system will just be a repeatable process, but if it's in business, it's got to produce a profit, or you won't be in business very long, right? All right, so that's what we're after here. Now, let's talk a little bit about creating a system, a workable system here. How many parts are there to every business? There are exactly 3 parts to every business. Here they are. The what? The marketing, the production, and the operations/administration. That's all there is. Everything else needs to go underneath one of those headings. When I start up a new business, I hire 3 people. Who are they? My department managers. What are they? My marketing manager, my production manager, my operations manager. That's who I hire. Then they go hire everybody else. So 3 parts. If your business has more than 3 parts, you're way too complicated. Less than 3 parts, you're missing something pretty big. Now, here's the deal. What you've got to do is design specific processes for each of these areas, so each of those areas runs smoothly, efficiently, and automatically. The goal, the objective of the Speedwell system is to create your business so that your business works like a well-oiled machine. What kind of machine? Well-oiled machine. A money machine. The goal of the Speedwell system is for you to create a what? A money machine. And this is critical. For a little bit of emphasis, I'll stand right here. And it is absolutely critical. Absolutely what? Critical. This machine must work without you. Only if you want to get rich. It has to work without you. Why? Because if you are the major cog in the wheel, you will eventually become the major clog in the wheel. And you'll see how that works. You have to be physically present for the business to work. Your business can only grow to the extent that you can personally handle, and that is not very much. No matter how brilliant you are, no matter how energetic you are, there are only how many hours in a day? 24 hours in most days, and therein lies the problem with most small business owners. They don't own a business, they own a frickin' job. They don't even know what a business is because they've been programmed and taught about jobs. You go there, you use a job. If it's got your own name on it, it's your business, right? No, it's not, especially if it's got your name on it. The worst thing you can do is put your frickin' name on your business. Hi, I'm small. Here's the key thing. They always have to be there or their income goes down the drain. Listen closely. A Speedwealth entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur, is a coordinator. A what? A coordinator. You are the conductor of the orchestra. Isn't it true that in musical orchestras that sometimes the conductor could be a wonderful violinist or a fantastic trumpet player or the best percussionist in the world? Yes? But do they play those instruments when they're conducting? No, they don't. Why don't they play those instruments? Because then there'd be nobody left to what? Conduct the frickin' orchestra. So they don't play those. So what does that mean? That means even though you're the best at the tasks that you are doing, you can't do them if you want to get rich. You only can do them if you want to earn a mediocre living. I'm not mad at you. You can do all the tasks yourself, and you can save a few dollars. But remember, where you are a cog, you will eventually become a clog with this system, which means you'll be saving hundreds, but losing and throwing away millions. You understand what I'm saying? Yes or yes? Yes. All right. I advise you to pick up a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And what he says is a value there is the idea here is to work on the business, not in the business. So the idea in a business is that the business is not you. The business is this entity that lives and breathes without you. It's a product. It's a package. It isn't you. You can certainly do what you need to do on a personal basis to help the business. For example, I help our business, but Peak Potentials has 8 different programs. And we have people teaching certain parts in different cities now, and we're moving more and more toward it. I help the business, but I am not the business. And that'll become less and less of me very shortly. So the key question, now listen close, I'm going to teach you something about systemize. Is that okay with you, yes or no? This is the most critical question of your life. Every single day, all day long, every single task that you're doing, you're going to ask yourself this question. The question is this: how can this be done without me? So point yourself and say, let me hear you ask the question. How can this be done without me? So here you are, you're packaging up a package to send away. What are you going to ask yourself? How can this be done without me? Here you are, you're picking up the phone, you're answering for your company, you're answering, hi, how are you? How can what? You're making a phone call to order XYZ. What are you going to say to yourself?
How can this be done without me?
You're doing the books and figuring out the numbers and all that. What are you going to say to yourself?
How can this be done without me?
Everything you do, you're going to ask yourself what? And the goal in speed wealth, you will know when you've arrived when you have to do nothing. Then you've got a business. You understand that? Yes or no? It's like then you've got an orchestra. Now you can conduct. This is critical here. I systemize my business so it can work without me. Let me hear you.
I systemize my business so it can work without me.
Give somebody a high five and say, you're dynamite. I want to remind you of something. I am not here to ask you to buy into any of this. I'm not here to tell you this is the way you have to do it. I'm not here to change the way you're doing it if you don't want to. I'm only here to give you and present you a model that actually works in the real world. And if you notice, this is how people do it all the time, don't they? And you'll see a few more steps here. So you can either follow it or you don't have to. At least you don't have to wonder why you're not doing as well as you would like to be doing. Right? There's a checklist. That's all there is to it. This is the way people do this. You don't have to systemize. You can run your business by yourself or with a few people and be the personal service company and not clone yourself for the rest of your life. And that's okay. You might do okay. It's going to be hard to get rich quickly, though. And that's what we're teaching here tonight, yes or no? I have to deliver my promise. My promise is I'm going to show you how to make $1 million in 3 years or less. Did I say that, yes or no? That's what I have to do. Now, whether you want to follow that, it's up to you. I'm not making you wrong for having a job. I'm not making you wrong for being a personal service company where you always have to be there. Hopefully I'm making you think, that's all. Is that fair enough, yes or no? Okay, good stuff. So here you got Speed Wealth principle number 5. Very simply, I've seen this 100 times, but now you know when to do it. What's the word? Duplicate. One more time, twice as loud, please. Duplicate. Yeah, there's a saying, if it works, keep doing it, right? So duplication is the principle that changes your money machine from one that spits out pennies to one that spits out $1,000 bills at a time. Now do you understand why it is so critically important to set up a system that can work without you? Because it allows for what? It allows for duplication without what? Limitation. Understand? That's the critical thing. So let's review. First, we find a nice, timely niche, a product or service that's in high demand. Next, we create a system. A what? A system or a way of doing business that works on a small scale. What kind of scale? A small scale, hopefully without us. And then this becomes our model or our cookie cutter. Where are they? Cookie cutters. This becomes our cookie cutter, right? That you use to repeat the process again and again and again. So I'm going to say this to you right here and now. Listen, what you're going to do is you're going to work in your business. You're going to create in every task a way of it being able to be done without you. You're going to systemize that, right? And by the way, your business has to work. It's got to produce a profit, remember? So you've got something small that actually works, though, in the real world. And then what's your job? You're going to what? Duplicate. You're going to do it again and again and again. And then after that, you're going to do it what? Again and again and again. And after that, you're going to do it what? Again and again and again and again and again. And finally, after all that is finally done, then you get to do it again and again and again and again. Again. You know what? business should be nice and boring. All right? Very boring. Your biggest highlight of your week should be going to the bank to cash your check, okay? That's it, to make the deposit. Business, the more boring your business is, the better off you are. And the richer you are. All right? So, again here, what we want to do is we want to do the same profitable thing again and again. The more complex you make it, the less chance you have of creating wealth, especially quickly. Now, is that the way most people run their business, in a boring way? No, they don't. They change all the time. They do a transaction. Here's this transaction. I did this sale to this group of people. It worked. Well, what do? Well, they forget about that. They go and try to sell something else tomorrow. Or sell the same thing to a different group. Different type of thing. But see, they don't get it. All you need is one little thing that actually works in the real world. And then it's a question of what? Simply what? Systemizing and duplicating. That's all you need. A good example is a guy starts a company. A friend of his had a broken muffler. He said, "Can you help me with my muffler?" He went down, tinkered around. He helped with his muffler, he's got his muffler fixed. The same guy, the muffler broke again. So he helped him again. This time he said, I'm not doing this again. So he got some clamps, he got this, he developed something in his machine shop, whatever, and the muffler stayed on. And I ended up opening up a little company called Midas Mufflers. That's pretty simple. Then what did he do? He tinkered around for a while until his little shop could operate without him, right? Got the systems together. Took him about a year or two. And then what did he do? Then he said, you know what? I have a good business here. Does anybody want to do this business? I'll show you how, but you got to pay me. That's called a what? A franchise. And now there's what? Thousands and thousands of Midas Mufflers all over the place. And this guy's somewhere in Hawaii smoking a cigar. Not near the muffler, I hope, right? So yeah, most people don't do this. They're not looking for that little smidgen of something that actually works in the real world in order to duplicate that little something. They got the drama thing going. Everybody wants to live in a freaking soap opera in their business. So up and down and up and down. And that's a programming thing we'll talk about a little bit later on for you guys. But let me just say this. When drama goes up, income goes down. You need to know that. The more drama you've got in your office, your business, your house, everything around business, you know it's tied in proportion to your income. This is critical. The speed wealth entrepreneur understands that if you can make a profit in one location, the only question now is what? How many similar locations can you create? If you can make a profit in one simple transaction, the only question should be now is what? How many similar transactions can you create? More people have gotten rich using the cookie cutter method than any other approach in history. Have you ever heard of Sam Walton? What did he start? What's the company? Walmart, yeah. Here, listen closely. What did he do? He started with one small store in one small town, making one small profit. Yes? First with him in the stores, then without him in the stores, and then what did he do? And this became his cookie cutter to roll out what? 1,500 more cookies all across small town America. And that's how he got rich. Does that make sense? If you notice, Sam Walton didn't open 3 stores in small towns and go, we're ready for the big city now. No, because he had his method, he had his niche, he had his little thing that actually worked. He didn't know if big cities would work or not, but why go there? There were still thousands of small cities to cover, and he was the one doing it. The idea is be a big fish in a little pond. That's the goal. That's how you get rich. Don't try to be everything to all people because you'll never make it. It costs too much to reach them all anyway. You understand what I'm saying? Yes or no? Yes. All right. So, did he use this BOL system? Yes. Absolutely. Did it work? Yes. Well, he ended up with $7.4 billion. I'd say it worked pretty good. Have you ever heard of McDonald's? What's that? That's a simple system also, yes? How did it happen? Who knows? Ray Kroc, yes? Ray Kroc, what was he? He was a blender salesman. A blender salesman. He gets a call from one store down in Southern California owned by the McDonald's brothers, and they ordered 4 blenders. The biggest order he ever had before in history was 1 blender. He goes down to deliver it because he had to see this for himself. Why would anybody need 4 goddamn blenders here? Excuse my French. And he goes down, he sees there's lineups out the door. He goes, this is good. Whatever they're doing is working, right? But they hadn't systemized it. They just had a way of doing hamburgers and a way of doing their fast food and a way of doing their shakes that people like. So what did he do? He bought the McDonald's brothers out. And what did he do? All he did was he systemized whatever they were doing, and then he duplicated. One of the ways is franchising, duplicate, and one of the most powerful companies in the world today, based on what? The Speedwell system. What, did I make this up? You recognize what they do. Here's the mistake that I made that almost cost me everything one time. And I was already starting to do pretty good. I did the duplication before the complete systemization. I missed that little step. And what did I do? I duplicated my mistakes. You understand what I'm saying? That's critical. I want you to know something. Raise your hand if you've been to one of my seminars before. Raise your hand if you've been to one of our big courses before, our major courses. Very good. So you know we have a lot of programs and stuff, and you know that we have a lot of people who go to our programs, yes or yes? I mean, in our main weekend programs, we have this many people. That's a lot of people, yes? We have our programs are set for that. So the essence here is that I made a conscious decision at this point in time to do this on a regional basis. But I want to tell you something. My own thought processes, when I came back to Canada to do this, to open a training division up here, you have to understand my thought process was, either I'm going to run this on a regional basis and then later on create a way to take myself out, or, and here was my situation. We were already back in Canada, and immediately we were very popular both in Vancouver area, Alberta, and Toronto, immediately, because of the stuff that we do, especially on the inner game. And so all of a sudden I had a choice to make, and I remember talking to my family and discussing this very specifically. I said, I'm either going to go this route or I have to let go of Alberta and concentrate only on Vancouver, where I am, and that's it. Why? To create a strong system in order to be duplicated by city. Do you understand that? Do you understand I'm saying yes or no? Yes. So what we've done is we're expanded pretty wide, but we have such a strong support system and fantastic staff. So now if we want to go by city, we still know how to do a city. Does that make sense? Yes. But this is a harder way to do it. It's lucrative for us, but it's a harder way for most people. Don't go out there and start doing this until you've got a methodology that works on a very small scale. Does that make sense to you, yes or no? Yes. So if I was coming in to do it by city, by city, by city, I would not. I would have let go of Alberta and let go of Toronto, which I did eventually, to concentrate on one place only so that I can say, this is how you do a city. What's the next city? Does that make sense, yes or no? Keep it on a small scale and then just duplicate what you did. All right. How many of you have heard of companies like Mary Kay and Nikan and USANA, Sunrider, Melaleuca, Amway, Excel? Give me some more. Herbalife. Prepaid Legal. Avon? Newscan, Manatech. Boy, there's more than I even know, right? These are called what kind of companies? Network, multi-level companies. These are called network marketing companies. Now, what is network marketing? It's simply a methodology like franchising of what? Of duplication. What is it? What is it? Duplication. That's all it's about. You like it, you use it, you tell people. They like it, they use it, they tell people. Over and over again, that's as simple. That's why it's very smart. That's why they work. The reason network marketing does well is because the speed wealth principles are inherent in that industry, aren't they? Right? The best companies have the right niche, the right product at the right time. Can you imagine them doing well without it? They have systemized it before you even get into it. They've done all the work for you, for God's sakes. This is how you do it. You get this kit, you show people this video and this tape, you get them on this three-way call, they call this number, they call that number, they sign up with this distribution. Normally, you'd have to do all that yourself. Yes or no? Yeah. And then once you've got that, what do? They say do what? Duplicate it. Just do it again and again and again. Get more and more people doing it. Now, just so you know, I wrote the Speed Wealth book way before I even recognized that network marketing companies fit into this, right? So everything I do is totally objective. And I do a lot of talks and work with lots of network marketing companies because they like me because I'm completely objective. I'm not talking about network marketing. In fact, so we have some of the principles involved so well with it that it's different information, but it's so powerful. When people use it, they just go through the roof with whatever they're doing. Plus, people who get involved in it see the power of that stuff. The idea is that, for example, I know a very average couple, and I mean average couple. He doesn't have too much going on up here, I'll tell you. She's pretty sharp, but they live in Tennessee. Tells you a little bit right there. Anyway, small town Tennessee. Did you see Deliverance? I saw that. He reminds me of that guy, that's why I say that. They have 20,000 people in their downline. They're all family. No, they're all... They're not all family. There are 20,000 people in their downline all over the world, actually, even in Japan. Do you think they know number 17,246? No, but who knows them? The system knows them, and that's all that has to happen. I want to make sure you understand this next step, and that is to what? To what? Systemize. And so what you're going to have to do is what? Learn and adjust and look out for the methodology and test out the methodology that works for you, and you don't stop until you've got it. And if you're not sure, check out 4 or 5 high-income earners. Do what they do. And if you can't find anything that suits you, then the problem is you're too picky. And you will never find anything that suits you. And that will be your excuse for failing. So choose one of them and do the best you can do with it until you create your own. Does that make sense? When do you create your own? When you're rich. When you're rich, you're welcome to create your own. Is that okay? Before that, you follow someone else's model because they've gotten rich with it. It's proven. So, once we have a strategy, a system, a methodology that actually works, what do you do next? Well, if it works, then you what? You do it again, and you do it good. So in any business, the principle for Speed Wealth is you must what? Duplicate. Duplicate. Now, duplication is the principle that changes your golden goose from one that spits out pennies to one that spits out $1,000 bills. I mean, even in your business, isn't it true that if you have 2 people in your downline, there's a big difference than if you have 200 people? True? That's called what? Duplication. Isn't it true that if a person has 20 stores, a chain of 20 stores, they might make a lot more than if they have 1 store? That's called what? Duplication. It's called what? Duplication. Okay. So now do you understand why it is so imperative that you set up a system that can work without you? Yeah. Why? Because that affords you what? Duplication without limitation. And you know, limitation is the what? It's like one of those curse words when it comes to wealth, right? No limits. Remember the importance of quantity. You remember quantity? Remember? The key question is always this. How do I get my product or service into the hands of the largest number of people? And the answer is what? Duplication. Simple economics. So let's review. So first we're going to create a system, a what? Or a way of doing business, doing things that works well on a small scale. Like it might be the way you sell to one person, or it might be the way you sell to a group of people, or the way of recruiting that works for you. Something that actually works. And then this becomes your model, or another way to say it is your what? Your cookie cutter. And everybody has a different cookie cutter, don't they? And it doesn't matter as long as yours works, bakes good cookies. Right? And you notice it's formed. It's even here, this one's even metal. It's formed. It's a specific form that you have. It is not haphazard. Notice this cookie cutter makes the same shape every time. Got it? Very important to realize that. So this becomes a cookie cutter used to duplicate your success over and over again. Now, you don't get fancy on me here. You don't get brilliant. Don't change everything every day. You keep it nice and simple. You do the same profitable thing every single day. I know it's quiet in here now, huh? See, business, here's the trick. Business should be nice and boring. The more complex you make it, the more changes you make every day, the less chance you have of success. Keep it simple. Take one thing that works and do it over and over and over again. You know, the fact is, especially in network marketing, most people don't own a business. They own a frickin' soap opera. Don't they? It's a soap opera. It's totally full of high drama. I mean, it's somewhere between the emergencies of General Hospital and the babysitting of all my children. Is that true or what? And that's how they think they run their business. Why do we do this? Because we have, what most people have is something that we call a drama what? A drama hook. We love drama, don't we? Hello? Yeah, we do love drama. I mean, that's why you take a look at the news. It's all full of terrible things. People go by an accident. You know, they're, oh my God, look at what happened here. Oh, right? Just drama, drama. Now, why does this happen? Why do we do this? Why do we have this drama hook? You know, it's a normal thing. It's not abnormal. It's normal. You see, the thing is, we have a mind that is as powerful as a computer the size of Texas on our shoulders, just sitting here. And because its abilities are so magnificent, and we have, you know, little things to do, your mind gets bored easily. True or true? And so what does it do? If you don't give it things to work on, it does what? It works for you. It creates things for you to work on. Those are called what? Dramas. Doesn't it do that? How many people have a mind that they don't do that at all, right? Right, sure. You hear that one. I want you to understand something. Very important relation here. And that is that when drama goes up, income goes down. And guess what? So does true happiness. You'll be excited, but you won't be happy. Does that make sense at all? Because you're looking for drama. My suggestion is stop looking for drama. Start looking for some financial freedom. And how do you stop looking for drama? Keep it nice and what? Simple. You find one thing that works, and you just keep on baking that same silly cookie every day. That's all. You know what I find? And again, you don't have to believe a word I say. I find the people who are the smartest are usually the most broke. They're too smart to be rich. Really. They're consistently figuring out a better way. I don't want you to figure out a better way. I only want you to figure out one way that works. And just stay with it. And keep doing it. That's all. How many of you have noticed that the leaders in your companies seem to have found a way, and that's what they do? They don't even veer off. They don't do 28 other things. When they're listening in your conventions to the 18 other leaders, they go, thanks very much, but my way's working fine. You see them, I'll try that today. No, I think we'll try this. Guy's earning $50,000 a month. I don't think he's going to try anything. Just keep doing what is working. Notice the people who aren't earning a lot of money. What do? A, they haven't found the thing that works because they aren't willing to learn from someone who's actually doing it and do that, right? And B, if they have found it, what do? They change it every week. I'm tired of doing the three-way thing, you know? I don't like that. Sending out cassettes is a bore. Well, let alone I already got 28 people this week, but still, it's a bore. Maybe something will be more fun if I just do it. Maybe I should. Yeah. That's why they're broke. You have to understand. A speed wealth entrepreneur understands that if you can make a profit on one sale or transaction, the only question you have now is how many similar transactions can you create? A speed wealth entrepreneur understands that if you can make a profit in one location, the only question is how many similar locations can you create? I heard of a girl the other day who created a systemized way of doing her network marketing business in San Diego. And then she took her little group, her core group, and they moved to Los Angeles. Then they moved to San Francisco. Then they moved to Portland. Then they moved to Seattle. Now they're in Japan. What do you think they keep doing? Let me show you what they keep doing. See the cookie cutter? Here it is. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, that's San Diego. Let's do Los Angeles, right? Let's do Japan. Same thing. You understand that? That's a person who understands you. If you want to get rich, you keep it simple. You have no idea how many opportunities I had when I was starting Fitnessland, the home fitness retail business. Boy, once I opened a couple, 3 stores, everybody and his brother wanted me to take a look at this opportunity, that opportunity. It was so easy to be able to like jump onto another bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? Anybody ever have that happen to them? One thing I did right in my life, I can tell you that, is that I said thanks but no thanks. This is working. I know how to do this and it's working. And I take on those opportunities. I took them on when I got rich. That's when you're allowed to make the change. Is that okay? You get rich, do whatever you want. Except don't blow off your money. Okay, so you have to realize that more people have gotten rich using the cookie cutter approach than any other method. And again, let's not talk about network marketing. Let's talk about the generality so you see the criticalness of duplication. How many people we talked about Sam Walton. How many people have heard of Sam Walton? Now, what did he do? He started with what? One small store in one small town, making one small profit. First with him at the helm, and then he systemized it so it wasn't working with him. True or true? So we work without him. And this became this cookie cutter he used to roll out 1,500 more cookies, otherwise known as Walmart stores, all across North America. I said it the other day. Most people who were really smart would have said, wow, look at this. We've opened 2 stores in small towns. We are ready to rock and roll. We're ready for the big city now, don't you think, Elmer? But he didn't do that. His system was, he knows how to do this type of store in this type of town. And that's all he did. He kept doing this type of store in this type of town. And does the Speedwell system work? Did that principle work for him? Well, he died pretty recently with a net worth of, again, $7.4 billion. And those are made in days when it wasn't like today. You understand what I'm saying? Does it work, yes or no? Did I make them up? Have you heard any of these before? Is it good to get a reminder once in a while? Hello. So what is network marketing? Well, to me, in my book, I see it as simply, I said, hey, what's network marketing? It's simply a method of duplication. That's all it is. You use it, you like it, you tell someone. They use it, they like it, they tell someone. What's that? Duplication, smart and simple. That's why it works. And the reason that network marketing skyrocketed is because the Speedwell principle we've been talking about are inherent in the business, in the structure itself, in the concept. They're built right in. Don't the best companies have the right product at the right time? Yes or no? Don't the right companies have a proven business system that works, that's all set up for you if you'll only follow it? Yes or no? Don't they have people within there in the company that have systems that work? Yes or no? Sure they do. And the entire network marketing concept is based on the principle of what? Principle of what? Duplication. See, I know normal, everyday folks who have 20,000 people in their downline, and they earn over $1 million a year. Now, here's a question for you. Help me out with this. Do you think they personally know number 17,241? Do they know them? No, they don't. Of course not. Yet they still make money from that person. How? Because they set up the system and the system knows that person. They don't have to. The system replaces you. That's the beauty of network marketing too. The whole idea is to replace yourself and build a system that will become your golden goose. Now, a couple of factors when it comes to duplicating yourself. Number one, what is the quality of people you are recruiting? What are the quality? There's a saying in network marketing, it says, some of you have heard this before, it says, you might want to write down, recruit up. How many people have heard that before? I think that's a good idea. What does recruit up mean? Tell me. Sponsor some people who are more successful than you are. Is that a good idea? Sure, they're already successful. Look, in our courses, we have several courses that we run at our school, about 6 or 7 of camps and whatnot. They're big, long things. Some of them are 2 days, some of them are 5 days. They're major. But one of the things that we work on is we have a very Zen approach to things. And the Zen approach is this. I want you to write this down if you haven't already. You'll hear me say this if you come to our courses, because I'll nail you with it all the time. How you do anything is how you do everything. How you do anything is how you do everything. Let me ask you this question. Do you think that if a person is very successful in business right now, and they transferred over, full-time or part-time, to another business, is there a good chance they would also be very what? Successful. Why? Because they have the whatever it is on the inside to be successful. True or true? At the same time, if a person is quote unquote a loser, what do you think they're going to be when they come into your business? Well, hello? That doesn't fit with your hero thing, does it, though? Because you can't fix them, right? See, that's the problem with a lot of people. A lot of people bring people into their business so they can fix them. So they can, let me help you. I will help you. I'm not making a dime, but I'll help you. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying not to get those type of people. But I'm saying this. If you want to create wealth, you want to create wealth quickly, you better find people who are successful. Let me ask you a question. If you had a business, here you are, you open a retail store or something, you get a manager. You're going to hire a loser? What is he going to do to your store? You're going to lose it, right? Don't you want to hire a person who's successful, a winner, a guy who can make things happen, or a guy who can make things happen? Yes or no? Why is this any different? If I was in network marketing full-time or whatever, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't hire losers. If a person sounded like and excuse my phrase, you know what I'm saying by loser, right? A person who doesn't have the wherewithal to win, they've never won. I'm not saying they can't win, but you know what? How you do anything is how you do everything. Find people who have been successful in at least in some areas of their life. You know who's great? Athletes are good. People who are, really been successful in that arena. Maybe they haven't tried the business arena real well, but they know what commitment and focus is all about. They know what determination is all about. They know what rejection and failure is all about. Trust me on that. And discipline, thank you, very much so. The stronger your people are, the more money you will make with a lot less effort. And again, if this is so obvious, why do most people not do this? Why don't they make it a point to meet the very best people on the planet and go for them? Simple. They're out of their comfort zone. Out of their comfort zone. How many ever heard the saying, birds of a feather flock together? We have a couple of parts to us, 2 parts to us, our higher self and our ego mind. That's in another course. However, the ego mind, listen closely, wants to find people that are just like us. You see, a lot of people, the truth is, they don't want to find freedom. They want to find friends. They want to find people they're comfortable with, to work with. Good. You know what you'll get? Exactly what you've got. Exactly who you are.
That's what you'll get, those results. You're a 5, you'll keep getting 5. You want to create financial freedom quickly? Don't bother finding people you believe are just like you. Find and recruit people that you believe are better than you or will be better than you at this business. You stretch your comfort zone. You surround yourself with great people, and then what you do is you work on becoming great yourself. Second thing on duplication. You don't just duplicate yourself, you must duplicate the system. The what? The system. Look, the big money in network marketing, from what I can see, is not in personally selling the product. Hey, do you want to buy some of this? How much is it? It's $40. Boy, am I going to get rich doing that. I don't think so. It took you all night to sell the $40 can of whatever. True or true? You notice people get rich don't do that much. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just not the way to get rich very quickly. The big money is not even in recruiting people. The big money is in making sure you are duplicating the system that works. Therefore, the secret in this business is, listen closely. You might want to write this down in big, bold letters. Find people and train them to find people and train them. To find people and train them. And on and on. The key is to make certain that each person down the line is what? Trained. What's the word? Trained properly in the methodology that is working so they can train others to do the same. Otherwise, what do you have? Tell me. You have a lot of people, but most are ineffective and unsuccessful. True or true? And that's called what? Dead weight. How many people agree that babysitting your people is one of your biggest time wasters? What's the answer? Making sure that you train them not only to how to run the business properly, but exactly how to train other people. It seems to me that the people who make the most money in network marketing are not the best salespeople, but the best teachers. Why don't you go recruit teachers? Does this make sense at all? It also seems to me that the number one reason that people struggle and quit is because they weren't trained to train people. So what happens? They can do it all themselves, but then their goose starts to starve, right? Hey, this is too hard. They were never said, to succeed in this business, you have to put on your trainer-teacher hat. That's how you're going to succeed. You have to become a trainer. And you'll notice that the people usually up on the stage at those conventions, they're pretty good trainers. They're the ones who make all the money, don't they? It's not coincidence that they're on stage and they make the money. What comes first? Well, they're probably both together, aren't they? They're good trainers. That's why they make the money. They can stand in front of 200 people and train these people to do well, or train these people to understand the opportunity. The more you duplicate yourself and the system, the more you feed your goose. And the more you feed your goose now, the more your goose will feed you later. So, does this make sense at all? Duplication. Does this make sense? Yes? And what are you going to duplicate? The system. And what are you going to train? You're going to train people to train people. Not just in, here's how you do the business. Here's the products. That's a given. Of course you do that. You have to train people to become a trainer so that they'll train other people to train people. You got it? That's what's called down the line, isn't it? That's how people end up with 20 or 30,000 people in their downline, isn't it? That are doing something. Speed Wealth principle number 6, voila, is what? Leverage. What is it? Leverage. One more time, twice as loud, please. Leverage. Leverage, thank you. And what is the definition of leverage? Let's try again. What's the definition of leverage? Come on. Yes, very much so. Very simply this. Leverage simply means doing more with less. Doing more with less. What did Archimedes say? Remember this guy over here? There you go. Give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, was it? And I'll move the earth. Very good. Leverage. Let me tell you something. Leverage is the secret ingredient that all wealthy people share. Virtually impossible to get rich without leverage. Virtually impossible. You think about it. I mean, you think about even people who've saved for 40 years. If you save for 40 years under your mattress, chances are you're not rich. But if you let that money accumulate on compound interest for you, chances are you're rich. That's called what? Money working for you. That's a form of what? Leverage. Does that make sense at all? How many would agree? Raise your hands if you agree it's almost, I mean, nothing's impossible, but virtually impossible to get rich, especially quickly, if you're not using leverage. Okay. Good. So give me some examples of leverage. Tell me some. Hello. Other people's time and labor. Good. Thank you. Other people. Yes. Right. So again, other people's time. Yes. And labor. Yes. Products. That's leverage, right? Products represent you. Yes. Information is leverage. What else? Yes. Other people's success, their stories or their learning. Sure. Learning. Is education leverage? Is using other people's money leverage? Good. Is using technology leverage? Yeah, there are many, many forms of leverage. But why is leverage so important? Well, again, remember the other key to wealth that we talked about earlier, making sure that there are what? No what? Limits. No what? No limits on your income. And again, there's only so many hours in a day. And if you have to physically be there to earn money, you are extremely what? Limited. So if there's one element that I would say that puts network marketing heads and shoulders above most other industries, it is the word what? Leverage. You know, I'm going to see if I can duplicate this because I saw an awesome example the other day that I want to share with you. Some people may have seen this and some people I'm sure haven't, but it really blew me away. It was an example of this guy in network marketing who has 50,000 people in his worldwide organization. That's quite a bit, isn't it? I mean, he's worked it properly. You can tell he knows what he's doing. But he says this. He says, what's the maximum number of hours that a person can work in a day? 24 if they don't ever what? Sleep, okay? So the maximum in a year, listen closely, is 8,760 hours a person can work in a year if they don't sleep. You got that so far? Now, in this example, if each person in his downline only worked 1 hour per year, then he would be getting paid on what? 50,000 hours, right? Does that make sense? So the person, one single person, would so his downline or him, his representatives, works 1 hour per year, and that's equal to a single person needing to work over 6 years. 1 hour per year versus a single person, a person having to work 6 years for that amount of being paid on. Does that make sense at all to you? And now extrapolate this number. It's pretty awesome. In fact, when he says, if they were to work 1 day of the year, that would, to offset that, to equal that, a person would have to work 50 years to equal what his organization does in 1 day. 50 years. Now listen closely. Let's say the people in his organization were with him for a year. Is that possible? Yes or no? And they worked a normal 8-hour day, basically, for a whole year. So in this case here, they worked for 1 year, right? A person without that leverage would have to work for 13,700 years. No sleep. Is that leverage or is that leverage? That's unbelievable to me. That's why I think maybe network marketing might be the epitome of the wealth principle called leverage. Now, here's the nice thing about it. Now, that's an example of a person who's built a huge organization, true or true? We'd like to have that, wouldn't we? But the question is this: did this person even build the organization? Who built it? A lot of people. Everyone down the line built it. You know what? For all you know, this person might have a very specific way of doing things, and what he says is this: I'm going to choose 20 people and 20 people only to work with. They're going to be 20 of the best people I can possibly muster, and that's all I'm ever going to talk to. 20 people and 20 people only. So he builds a organization of how many people? 20 people. That's all he does, is build those people and turn them into leaders and train those people. And that's all he ever talks to. Now, did he build the system? He was the root of the system. He's the head of the system, but he sure didn't build the system. Every day the system's being built, what? Without him. Is that good or good? Where else can you find this? Tell me. I wouldn't mind knowing. I can spread it around to the rest of my thousands of students who aren't interested in network marketing. Tell me where you can find this opportunity like that. How many of you are feeling like, this isn't a bad opportunity? Maybe I should rethink how I'm doing this. Maybe I should put a little more effort into this, a little more focus into this. But then again, you could go for the part-time income. And also, doesn't this lead to another form of leverage? Where in network marketing, it seems to me, and again, I'm sure that the companies don't like to talk about this, but whenever I've interviewed people and talked to successful people and stuff like that around in network marketing, many people have told me, and tell me if this is true or not, that that person over there, they're not even, they're making like 20 grand a month, and they lucked into it. At first I was saying, well, how could they luck into it? You don't luck into it. Oh yeah? They found one guy that they didn't even find. They found the guy, and the other guy found a girl who found this other girl who is just like dynamo. And she has just built this organization, and this schmendrick is getting paid on it. How many of you have ever heard of stuff like that? That's leverage. You don't have to build you have to find one person and get really lucky. Can that happen for you? Sure. I even heard of a story where it was this person's first person they ever sponsored. Everybody else they sponsored was a loser. This one person just went dynamo, and this guy makes about 10 grand a month, doesn't do anything. That's called what? Leverage. So how do you do that? How do you find? Well, try to find good people, right? Recruit up. And secondly, keep on recruiting. Some of those people will be great if you allow them to be that and you train them. Okay. So the idea here is to what? Work what? Smarter instead of harder. Does that make sense for you? Yes? Smarter instead of harder. Okay. Now, I want to do a little comparison here, a little comparison shopping here again. And I don't want to cram down numbers down your minds right now, but I'm just looking at this myself. And I was coming up with a bit of a comparison over here. And the comparison is, let's see, we talked about earlier about the fact that we're here, what's the date today? It's February the 3rd, 2000. 3 years from today is going to be what, February 3rd, 2003. How many people got that math? That's good. Okay, and that's enough arithmetic for now. 2003. And how many of you would agree that you would like to be maybe in a different position on this day 3 years from now than you are today? Especially financially. Raise your hand. Especially in your time freedom and stuff like that. So what are some of the alternatives? Well, number one, you can do nothing. Right? You don't have to do anything. And chances are at that point in time, what's going to happen? Probably not much or a heck of a lot worse off than you even are today, right? I'd be able to agree with that. May not be the way to do it. But now let's take a look at a few different people. Let's take a look at Bob gets himself a salary job, okay, over the next 3 years. And let's take Al, and Al opens up a business, a retail business or some computer programming business, a regular business, right? Does that make sense? Yeah? Stay with me here. And now let's take Sue over here, and Sue decides she's going to focus on network marketing. All right. So let's take a look at what happens for Bob. What's going to happen for Bob? Well, Bob starts at about $30,000 a year, and 3 years from today, he is doing great in his job. He's got a raise. He starts off February 3rd, 2003 with a whopping raise, and it's good. He's making $75,000 a year now. How many of you think in a salaried job, that's not a bad situation? Yes or no? True or true? Wouldn't most people, if they could be guaranteed 3 years from today to double their, what is it, 3 times or 2.5 times their salary, they'd be, that's better than the union's, 3.5%, right? Okay. So that's what he's got. After 3 years, he's got that. But he works pretty, what? Hard. He works pretty hard. That's why he was worth doing that. Now let's take a look at Al. Al starts his own business. He starts off with how much usually as a salary or an income? Yeah, the big zilcho, like most of us, right? And he does really well. 3 years from today, he's making $150,000 a year. Not too bad, yes or no? Not too bad, okay. But he's working really what? Hard, and he has to keep working what? By the way, what does Bob have to do? Keep working really what? Okay. Right. Now let's take a look at Sue. She started with network marketing. She starts with how much? 0, pretty well. Now, 3 years from today, she's followed the Speed Wealth principles. She's learned from the best. She models them. She does it over and over and over again. Is it possible, I'm going to ask you this question, is it possible that she could be earning, let's say, at 3 years from now, $250,000 a year? Have you ever heard of anybody do that? If they decided to focus on it and do it right. It's true, or am I making it up? Listen. No, it's 250 is possible, right? So now she went from 0 to $250,000 a year, except for one little difference here. Her income is what kind of income? Residual income. In fact, her $250 a year is actually $20,000, let's say, per month. And at the end of 3 years, where is she? Well, let's see. She's earning $20,000 a month. She already worked hard. Does she still have to work hard? Well, in fact, let's assume that Sue can live on $20,000 a month. Sue has become what? Financially free. Sue has become financially free because her income continues. She doesn't have to start at ground zero every day, does she? Now, look, I'm a business owner, and I've been a business owner more than a dozen times. I've also had jobs. Anybody else in here in that position? I'm looking at these vehicles. I'm looking at you people. February 3rd, 2000, it is not going to be, raise your hand if you can remember basically February of 1997. It's not that long ago. Raise your hand if you're like pretty well in the same position as you were then. You understand what I'm saying? 3 years is not a long time, is it? It's like a blink of an eye, isn't it? 97, my car's in 1997. The lease is just coming up. I got to go get a car. Okay, I said, he calls me up. He says, your lease is up. I said, no, it's not. I had a 3-year lease. He goes, it's up. I said, you're kidding me. I just got this car. How many of you feel like life is doing that to you? Now, you're going to have a choice. And your choice is, at the end of 3 years from today, do you want to still be working your butt off? Do you want to still be forced into working your buns off? Because you don't have a choice. because you start from ground zero all the time. I don't know, but I'm suspecting here that there's a chance that many of you would like to take Sue's route. Do the business, focus on it properly, knowing you have seen the alternatives and they don't look good. Unless you want to do this on a part-time income basis. You see, at the end of the day here, 3 years from now, she's free. And pretty well free for the rest of her life with maybe a little bit of maintenance. And hopefully we'll grow it. Maybe she wants to spend most of her days in Tahiti or Hawaii. She can do that, yes or no? So you don't have to work it forever. Whereas in a business, unless you came to my course the other night and you understand about selling your business, that's the only other way, or in a job, it's forever. Pretty well. True or true? I said it before and I'll say it again. If you're going to work hard anyways, you might as well get rich, and the quicker, the better. Is this making sense to y'all? So, what's going to make the difference here? There's basically 3 pieces to the puzzle. There's the right vehicle. The right what? The right vehicle. You got to be in the right vehicle. Unfortunately, jobs just don't cut it. And businesses, unless you sell them, they're hard. But if you sell them, they can work. One of the things you can do that starts with very little money is do the network marketing business properly, follow people who know what they're doing, get into it 1,000%, remotivate yourself and keep on remotivating yourself, and do the work for 3 years. There's a saying I have that I heard from a buddy, not a buddy, but an associate, I should say, and I borrowed it. And his name is Wade Cook. And he said this. He said, if you will do what most people won't do for the next 3 years, you can do what most people can't do for the rest of your life. You might as well give Wade a hand on that. I like that. So this leads us to the next Be Wealth principle. But before we go there, I want you to really get this in your soul. If you are not using leverage, you are working too hard and earning too little. And the sad part is this, that until you truly understand what I just said, you will need to work hard for the rest of your life. When you understand what leverage is all about, and if you're going to work hard, that you can do that, but if you have the right vehicle, you can do it for a short amount of time, you can see the light, and you can touch that light, and you can hold that light, and you can turn the light out. You understand what I'm saying? There's an end to the tunnel. And if you don't understand that, or you're not willing to see that, you have imprisoned yourself to work hard for the rest of your life if you want to be successful. If you don't want to be successful, you don't have to work hard. You know, laze around the beach and go skiing or whatever. That's okay. Raise your hand if you want to be successful. Raise your hand if you wouldn't mind working hard for a few short years if you knew there was going to be a vehicle that could take you to the end of the tunnel. Raise your hand if you feel tonight so far like you're taking a big gulp and going, and maybe willing to recommit to what you've been doing. Like 10 times harder, 10 times smarter. Does that make sense at all to you? Okay. Be Wealth principle number 7. And here's the little problem. All these other principles sound really good, don't they? Hello? And isn't it the way most people get rich, yes or no? Again, have you noticed this isn't a network marketing seminar, is it? It's a way of all businesses, true or true? And do these principles fit into network marketing? That's all I'm here to point out, that they happen to fit into network marketing. You better know what you've got. You know, you've got a golden situation right in your hands. And a lot of people, they will, excuse my French, mind frick themselves right out of it. That's part of another course. What's it say, please? Your inner world creates your outer world. One more time, twice as loud, please. Your inner world creates your outer world. There is a saying, and the saying is this, that it's not enough to be in the right place at the right time, but you have to be the right person in the right place at the right time. Who are you? How do you think? What are your beliefs? What are your habits and your traits? How do you really feel about yourself? How confident are you? What is your ability to act in spite of fear? What is your willingness to do whatever it takes, comfort or not? How many of you believe that your inner character and traits and beliefs are a huge part of what determines your success? For me, it is the most important element. Why? Because when offering your product or service to other people, what do you think they're buying? Especially in your business, for sure. Not the product or the opportunity. How could they? They don't even know what it is. They only know what you're telling them. This is going to make you do this, sleep better. This. Have you noticed that that's called a representation? That's not the terrain. That's the map of the terrain. You're the map. They don't know. They're only experiencing what? You. That's the reality. What's happening in the present is you are in front of them. So you're representing the product or opportunity. They are buying your energy or not buying your energy. If you have a weak energy about you, what are they supposed to think about your product or opportunity? Well, this person's a loser, but the product must be great. And if you are a strong individual who's got it together, then automatically they will tend to believe that what? The product and the opportunity are very what? Strong. Does it make sense? How many of you can see that being the best you is essential to this business especially? I once saw a demonstration that really, really changed my life. I want to do that for you. In this demonstration, you have to understand here that air is money. Air is what? And the balloons are people. They're people. What are they? People. Okay, so let me put some, what? Money into these people. How many people notice before we start that there's a difference in size between these? A lot of you are farther back. This yellow one is about half the size of the green one. Is that okay? Got it. Trust me on that one. I wouldn't want to go too much more on that. Now, question, especially those of you who are in the front who can see. What is the difference between these two people? One can hold a lot more money than the other one. You notice that? Okay. What does that mean? It means this. The fact is simply this. That your income, your what? Income. Can only grow to the extent that you do. Hello. Notice that? Can only grow to the extent that you do. And I don't care what else you say to yourself. That's not the way it is. The way it is that that's all you can make is your growth, your potential. And what happens if you keep putting more air or money into the small balloon? It busts. Anybody ever know people that do that? Most people simply do not have the internal capacity to attract and hold large amounts of money and success. You can give them the greatest tools in the world, but they can't use them because they either have a leak in the toolbox or a block on the toolbox. The toolbox. The toolbox. You understand what I'm saying? How do I know this? I know this because I've taught thousands of people the keys to success. And guess what? For some reason, not thousands of people have been successful. Do the math. Hundreds have. Why have they, with the same tools that were taught to them, gone to skyrocket to success, and the person sitting right next to them is doing nothing? Is it the tools? It's the toolbox. You got it? So you can't use most of the tools that you're given because the toolbox got a leak in it, or it's blocked up a bit. And it's very normal. It's very obvious, and 99% of people have that, including moi many time ago. Okay. The fact is this. We live in a loving universe. And the universe will not give you what you can't handle. And if you do get it, it'll usually be temporary. Notice that? And it'll often come with a very big lesson for you to learn. Stuart Weil, one of my buddies and one of my favorite authors, he says this. He says, see, the key to success is to raise your own energy. And when you do so, people will naturally be attracted to you. And when they show up, bill them. See, the fact is most people do not reach their potential. Most people are not successful. 80% of us will never be financially free. 80% of us will never be truly happy. Why? Because most people are unconscious. They are what? Unconscious. They only work on a very superficial level. They only work with what they can see, on what we call the visible. The what? The visible. Let me show you something over here that might interest you. This drawing is what we would call a tree of life. Okay, your tree of life. And here's your tree. And on the tree there are what? What are there? Who said bananas? There's fruits. Just leave it there. There's fruits on the tree. There's what? Fruits on the tree. Okay. Now here's the problem. A lot of people take a look at the fruits on their tree and they go, I don't like these fruits. What are the fruits? They are the what? The results. The what? Results of your life. I don't like these fruits. They're too small. They don't taste good. Ugh, I need to change the fruits. And they keep on working to try and change these fruits. And how they focus all their time and energy on their fruit, right? On the outside. Except for one thing. What is it that actually determines the fruit? It's the what? The roots. The seeds and the roots determine the fruits. So if you want to change the results of the fruits, where do you need to put your attention? Underground, on the roots, on the invisible. Do you get it? On the invisible. See, a lot of people say they don't believe in anything they can't see. Well, the question I have for you is, why do you bother paying your electric bill? For that matter, why do you bother breathing? I mean, oxygen isn't, hopefully, we're not in Los Angeles, so can't really see it. See, in my humble experience, and you don't have to buy into any of this, but if you do, your life may change tonight. See, in my humble experience, what we cannot see in this world is far more powerful than what we can see. I want to show you something that has really made a difference for many, many people, and that is this. We do not live in one plane or one realm alone. We live in actually 4 realms at the same time. There is the mental realm. The what? The emotional. The what? The spiritual. The what? And the physical, material world, which we see all around us, all of our fruits. And if you learn nothing else tonight but this to go home with and really consider for your life, let this be it. You need to understand that this physical, material reality, everything you see, feel, touch, all that, is merely, what's happening for you, all your causes in your life, is merely a manifestation and a printout of the other 3. It is a printout in reality of the other 3. Does this make sense to anyone? Raise your hands if you can understand what I'm talking about here. Money is a result. It is a what? Wealth is a result. Health is a result. Illness is a result. Your weight is a result. We live in a world of cause and effect. How many people ever heard anyone say something like or allude to the fact that that a lack of money is a problem? Raise your hand if you've ever heard anybody say that. Raise your hand if you know them very intimately. A lack of money is not a problem. A lack of money is merely a symptom of what's going on inside. Lack of money, symptom. Lack of money, symptom of what's going on underneath. Do you understand that? Okay. This is the heart and soul of how to become successful. It boils down to the fact that the only way to change your outer world is to first change your what? Inner world. Now, give me 5 minutes with anyone, and I can pretty well predict their financial future for the rest of their life. How? Simple. I can identify their money blueprint. Their money what? Blueprint. See, we all have a personal money and success blueprint already ingrained in our subconscious. Have you understand what I'm talking about here? Ingrained in your subconscious. And it comes from past programming, mostly when we were young. And it's a combination of verbal conditioning, modeling conditioning, and specific incidents that conditioned us, experiences. The other day I told a couple of stories that give examples of this. Verbal conditioning. We have a student of ours. His name was Stephen. This guy never had a problem making money. He only had a problem keeping money. Anybody know what I'm talking about on that one? Makes sense? He was earning over $800,000 a year for the past 7 years, dead broke. That's a problem. He came to our Money, Mind, and Spirit course. He shared that when he was growing up, his mom used to always say, rich people are greedy. They make their money off the sweat of the poor. And you should only have enough money to get by. That's what his mama used to say. Now, one of the things that he learned at the course is that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's going on inside. First, verbally conditioned that rich people are greedy, meaning that he doesn't want to be greedy or bad, so that means at the same time he can't get what? Rich. See, everything you ever heard a long time ago is still there. The only question is that ruling you, or are you ruling it? It's still there. And you can't rule it if you don't identify it and recognize it. Comprendo? Okay. Second is that he loves his mom, and he unconsciously knows that if he gets rich, she'll what? Disapprove of him. Doesn't want to be a bad boy in her eyes. So the best thing is what? Blow out all your money. Except the funny thing is this. The universe works in very strange ways, in case you haven't noticed. Many of those ways we don't understand. Know where he blows off most of his money? In solid investments. Every investment he touches goes down the drain. His friends make a fortune on the investment. He loses everything. How could that be? That's how it can be. He gets in at just the wrong time. So at the Money, Mind, Spirit course, we helped reframe the files in Stephen's mind. And in the last 2 years, he went from basically broke to millionaire in 2 years. Is that good or is that good? Now, that's not incredible considering he makes $800,000 a year. But considering the last 7 years, it's a big difference, isn't it? Guess what he's doing now? He's buying a condo for his mom in Hawaii. She likes it. She went and checked it out, got the furniture. Another incident they talked about was my personal incident, my wife, Rochelle. When she was young, she used to hear the ice cream truck coming down the street. And she would run to her mom, and she'd say, Mom, can I have a quarter for some ice cream? And her mom would say, sorry, dear, I don't have any money. Go ask Dad. Dad has all the money. And she'd run to Dad, and she said, Dad, can I have some money for the ice cream truck? He'd say, sure, give her the quarter, and she'd go get the ice cream. Well, the next week, the ice cream truck would come by. She would run to Mom, and she'd say, Mom, can I have a quarter for some ice cream? Her mom would say, what? Sorry, dear, I don't have any money. Go ask Dad. Dad has all the money. Goes, runs and asks Dad. Dad says, here you go, here's your quarter. Goes gets the ice cream. No problem. Just a kid, right? What did my wife learn about money? What'd she get educated in? Right, first of all, the women what? Women don't have money. That's her belief system. That's her root. Guess what happens with all her money? She has to what? Validate the belief, which means she has to get rid of all of the money because she has to validate the belief that women don't have money. You understand that? Just hit one right there, didn't we? You're going to come to our course, you're going to blow up. Which that's a good thing. Validates that women don't have money. So you got to, now here's the funny thing. If I give her $100, she gets rid of 100. If I give her 1,000, she gets rid of 1,000. If I give her 5,000, somehow she gets rid of 10,000. So, but she has to make sure that she has no money. Right? Now, this is in the past because we've done a lot of work on this in the formats, and she's very different now. But what did she also learn about men? Men have all the money. What do you think she expected of me? I am telling you, in the early years of our marriage, it was not pretty. Not pretty. See, her attitude was that money is meant to be spent. That's what it's for, right? My past conditioning, that was what she learned. My past conditioning, personally, was totally different. My past conditioning was that money is meant to be accumulated so that you can be free later on. Anybody else know what I'm talking about that? Here's the problem. Whenever she was spending money, to her, she was spending money. To me, she was spending our freedom. That caused a little bit of turmoil. Do you understand what I'm saying? She says, well, I only bought this and this and this. I'm going, okay, how many more years do I have to work because of that? You understand this? It's unconscious. Now, this is a while ago, as I said. So the more she spent, the more I tried to hold back the reins. Make sense? Well, the more I tried to hold back the reins, the more she resented me and the more she spent. Now, none of the women in here know what I'm talking about, right? And none of the men know what I'm talking about either. And it almost cost us our marriage. And thank God we learned about this stuff and how to recondition ourselves. Because you know what the beautiful thing is? That we used to only argue about one thing. Anybody know what it is? Money. That was every argument that we ever had was about one thing. We never argued about anything else. Zero, nada. But it was like, it was like a daily discussion, argument about money. And it carried over. It was like a skins game, The argument carried over from the last one that wasn't resolved. You understand what I'm saying? Because it could never be resolved. Because it wasn't anything we were talking about. What we were talking about was all a bunch of BS about who's right and who's wrong. Until we really got to the root of it. And did this type of work I'm talking about now. When we got to the root of it, now I can look at her and say, honey, does that sound like a program you're familiar with? And she'll go, oh, yeah, I can recognize that. Yeah, that's something that's been running me. I understand. I see that. That's one of my programs. We call them programs. One of my programs. And then she can make the choice right there and then. She might say, well, screw you. I want to run the program right now, okay? Fine. Or she can say, take a deep breath and go, I'm choosing in the present not to be run by the past. And I can do the same, yes or no? So what we have is an agreement that we can call out each other's programs because we have names for them. Certain programs have names. Who's that sound like, honey? Oh, that's my brother. You want to be him right now? No. We should have some choice. You understand that? And then a lot of these things don't even come up anymore because they're rewired completely. They don't even come up anymore. They don't mesh with the old wiring anymore. Okay. So the big question is this. What is your financial blueprint set for? Is it set for success? Is it set for mediocrity? Is it set for failure? Is it set for struggle with money? Is it set for ease around money? Is it set for a steady income or the up and down yo-yo effect? Anybody here have the up and down yo-yo income as a pattern? Raise your hand if that's your pattern. Is it set for having the Midas touch when it comes to investments? Or, again, like Stephen, everything you touch turns to mud. How do you know what your blueprint is set for? Anybody would like to know, yes or no? Very simple. The first way, we do lots of different ways of the program, but the first way is so simple. Look at your results. Hey, if the temperature in the room is 72 degrees, chances are real good the thermostat is set for what? 72 degrees. Look at what's going on for you. You will know what your blueprint looks like. And the not so good news is that your blueprint will stay with you for the rest of your life, like it already has, unless you identify those roots and change them. And as I've mentioned a couple of times, we have a very extraordinary course that will do just that and much more. We're change agents. We love to help people change, and we've been very successful at doing it. So I hope we've had an impact on you tonight. I thank you so much for being here, and I hope we have some value for you tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause. You guys were excellent. Thank you very much.